Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Game Chat. Thank you guys for sticking with us. I'm going to be brief because we got a lot to talk about. Check out the Instagram at Game Chat Pod, Linktree, link in bio, YouTube, TikTok, other streaming platforms. But we have a lot to talk about today because we're talking about, as requested, on our Spotify. We have a poll on Spotify where you can submit questions and topics. So shout out Jack. He submitted us to talk about the NFL again, and I think it's a good time now to talk about it after we're in week 9, week 10.
Week 10.
Week 10. So, all right, let's get into it.
So I think it's really weird when you're thinking about week 10. We still got 7 weeks left. I mean, that's a lot of football. So I think that's pretty cool. I think that right now, I also want to kind of give a shout out to the UK. We're going to talk about American football, not what you guys call football, just so you know.
That's Ted Lasso.
So we're not talking about Manchester United, the mighty Reds. So when I look at it, this trade deadline came and went.
Yeah, the trade deadline, nothing happened. We thought Deshaun Watson was going to get traded to Miami.
Well, I think a lot of stuff happened. I thought what's funny is the last few years there's been a lot more movement at the trade deadline than ever before. It used to be like this thing that it was there and nobody ever used it. Now teams are actually starting to use it. I mean, there were some moves and there was nothing that I can think of off the top of my head that was like, oh my gosh, that guy went here. There was we thought Watson was going to go to Miami. That fell through. We thought, which they probably wish that went through now considering the situation they got going on. Then we had OBJ was supposed to be traded. Yeah. And that was a big news of OBJ is going to be traded. And then trade deadline comes. OBJ ends up having no activity. I don't know if it's because Cleveland couldn't get what they wanted. And so basically he hits the waiver wire. He clears waivers. Then all of a sudden you start to hear talk that he's going to the Packers. It was the Packers, Saints, Rams.
And the
Rams
Chiefs.
weren't even in it. Chiefs. It was originally the Saints, Packers, and Chiefs. And then all of a sudden he ends up on the Rams. I heard a rumor up here in the New England it was going to be the Patriots were interested in him. And I was like, why would he go anywhere with a rookie quarterback? Okay, it's just not going to work, especially now when they're starting to play the teams the second time through.
And we talked about this pre-production and in our personal time when they said the Saints, and I'm like, I don't think he's going to go to the Saints where they have Trevor Siemian. You know, we get it; it's homecoming for him. You know, he's from LSU, but like Jameis Winston's out for the year, so.
And I don't think Jameis Winston's the right fit for him. And I kind of was thinking about, and I have a tendency of saying, I personally think Odell Beckham Jr. is the most overrated quarterback in the league. Amazing hands when no one's around him, but he never seems to catch the ball when he needs to catch the ball. And then somebody kind of said that when I made that comment on TikTok. Somebody said, oh, well, he's never had a really good quarterback. And I was like, Eli was a pretty good quarterback. Okay, it's a 2-time Super Bowl winner. He's in the top 5 for yards thrown. I think he's in the top
Brady
5 for that's who he beat twice. In fact, that team that he beat one of those years was the best offensive team in the history of football. And I mean, that year the Patriots were 19-0 going into that game. So I think he had a decent quarterback. Now, granted, it was towards the end of Eli's career. But the biggest thing with Odell is I think he's a diva. I think he's one of these people. It's all about him, and it's all about his numbers. He's basically the Russell Westbrook of the NFL. And it's funny is I initially said I don't know how he's going to fit in on the Rams because they're not going to take balls away from him. They're not going to take balls away from Cooper Kupp, who's I think right now he has 148 catches this year already, or some ridiculous amount, and then Robert Woods had 92. Jefferson, I think, was in the 70s. And then come to find out, today I get this alert. Bloop, bloop. On Friday, Robert Woods tore his ACL. He's out the rest of the year. Now it all makes sense. He'll be out there. Because originally I thought he was going to play D-Jack's spot. Because Deshaun wanted out because he wasn't getting playing time. And so they let him go, et cetera, so forth. And I think he went to the Raiders, if I remember right. Deshaun Jackson's a Raider now. And which is probably a good fit for him. We can talk about that in a minute.
Unfortunately, because Shadow Anthony, unfortunately, he could make it, but I know he's in this room. He's the biggest Deshaun Jackson fan. He was also hoping that Deshaun Watson would also come to Philly, but anyway, get better, Anthony.
And get better, Anthony. And then so it's just going to be interesting to see how he's going to fit in there, because I always feel like he's kind of a cancer. Odell, to me, is like he seems to start drama when it doesn't go his way. And I can distinctively remember him kicking the field goal net and the net coming back and biting him. Remember that? And I thought it was going to work out in Cleveland because his best friend from college was on the team, Landry. That didn't seem to work out. I think it's funny, as soon as when he was off the field, look at how Baker Mayfield lit up last week without him there, the distraction there. And I think that I always felt like Baker was trying to push the ball to him, and as opposed to just being Baker. So we'll see. I think that we'll see. I think, and then as I said, the Raiders situation, that is just tragic.
Yep.
That kid Henry Ruggs, I mean, goes out, drinks too much. Past experience will tell you that every team in the NFL, from experience, I can tell you, every team in the NFL has a car service. If you get drunk or you can't get where you can't get, you pick up the phone. They'll send a car to get you. Mm-hmm. He had no reason to be in a car.
And
twice the legal limit. The kid was twice the legal limit. Ends up getting in an accident. And I guess there's video now of the person he killed, the girl. Yeah. And she was screaming from the car on fire. And he just stood there. And then they find a loaded gun under his seat. So he's facing 50 years now, is what I heard. I don't think he'll do that. I think he'll probably do like 3 years. He's going to do some time.
Yeah, I think he's going to do at least 10, 8. Because he's going to be in a very minimum security prison, maybe even a
But
camp.
his career's done.
Yeah.
And
he's only 22, and he was their 2020 first round pick. And Raiders had 2 picks in the first round, I believe so. And the other guy that they picked, his name is Damon Arnett. And literally, I think the day after the Henry Ruggs situation, he went on his Instagram Live and he was toting weapons and showing weapons and all that.
And he got cut. And it's like it's funny because I think back to, do you remember Greg Hardy? Do you remember that name?
Sounds familiar.
Okay, so Greg Hardy played for the Panthers, and this guy was phenomenal defensive player. He got in an argument with his girlfriend. I guess he slapped his girlfriend or assaulted his girlfriend, and then he picked her up and threw her onto a couch that was full of weapons. He was facing legal charges, blah, blah, blah. So Panthers cut him. They basically just released him. He wasn't anywhere. And then once the legal charges were kind of dropped, as you know how that kind of works, he probably paid the girl off or whatever. And all of a sudden she wasn't going to testify, so they had no case. The Cowboys picked him up. And he went and played for the Cowboys, and he was just garbage. He was horrible. He was out of shape, blah, blah, blah. And they ended up releasing him. Okay, now I can't remember if he had issues with them. I thought there was something when he was with the Cowboys. And I just feel like I don't know what's going to happen to the league, but these guys have to make... This kid's 22 years old. He had a multi-million-dollar contract. He's probably going to be able to only walk away with his signing bonus because I don't think he played a full year. He's going to have to pay back that contract. And he might have to pay back some of his signing bonus.
There's probably going to be a civil suit, too, with the family of the girl.
Yeah, he's going to lose all his money. And he's going to be out of the league. And it was all because of a stupid decision to drink alcohol and then get behind the wheel. I mean, to me, this is the way I look at it. And I don't know why the system doesn't look at it this way. If I walk up to somebody and I pull out a handgun and I shoot you in the head, I'm doing 25 to life. dead nuts. But I can go drink alcohol and I could get behind a 1,000-pound vehicle and I can hit and kill somebody. And now they just call it vehicular homicide while you're under the influence, and you do 3 to 5 years. And they need to fix that. I mean, that poor girl lost her life, plus her dog. I mean, my heart goes out to the family. That's a horrible way. Like, I was literally playing earlier with some guys I run with on the PlayStation, and like one of them said, and I didn't even think about it, of all the most horrendous ways to die, I think being burned to death would be pretty bad. So my heart goes out to him. On a different note, done talking about that sad stuff, super exciting news happened. Same day OBJ was kind of figuring out where he was. All of a sudden, my son sends me a message and says, Cam Newton's talking to the Panthers. Now, in our house, Cam Newton is a god. So Cameron Jarrell Newton, if you ever hear this, you'd make a person in our house very happy if you give a shout out to Jack. But we were so excited that Cam's going home. And it was like, to me, it's kind of ironic. I was playing later on once everything was signed. I was on the PlayStation. I was playing with this new crew that I started running with, playing 2K, and they were all from Charlotte. And they're all like, we instantly connected because I'm a Cam Newton fan, and they're like, Cam belongs in the Queen City. Cam is the Queen City. It's the only place he can play. That they understand Cam for who Cam is, and he just feels at home, and he represents the city great. And I'm like, yeah, Cam Newton is definitely Charlotte. And that, I think, is the spark that they missed. And I know before we start getting a lot of grief or people hearing us start talk, you have to realize the last year that Cam Newton dressed, he just came off of foot and shoulder surgery. The last year that he dressed for the Panthers. And he was still having like growing pains because he was out for quite a while on injury. Then he went to the Patriots, and the Patriots had nobody. That team was basically a high school, we'll give them college level team playing at the pros. So he didn't do well, but you know what he did do last year? He scored more running touchdowns. He led the league in rushing touchdowns. Okay? So now he's going back to the Queen City. Panthers. He won't play this week because they'll have Walker play this week, but I bet you he'll play against the team next week. And that team is going to be the Washington Redskins with Riverboat Ron Rivera as their head coach, and basically the same coaching staff that played for Cam that basically told him 2 weeks prior, yeah, we're not going to go with Cam. And I'm sure Cam Newton is going to come out sweaty as a MFer and be like, I'm going to show them. And I'm super excited. He's going to have the weapons of this year. He's got Christian McCaffrey's back healthy. Their line is horrendous. It is what it is. But what Cam Newton has never had in his career, except for his rookie year, is a wide receiver of any salt. I mean, that dude was literally throwing to people like Devin Funchess. Okay? So he literally now has Robbie Anderson, who is got rockets in his feet. That kid is super fast, very vertical. And then he's got DJ Moore. Now, he did have DJ Moore, like rookie year, DJ Moore, but DJ Moore has become one of the top 5 route runners in the league, in my opinion. The kid's phenomenal. Then on the defensive side of the ball, this year they're a little bit battered, but they're still really good, okay? And their best player is out. One of their best players is out on defense. They got J.C. Horn. Remember he tore his ACL like in the 3rd game? So I'm hoping, crossing my fingers, he has a phenomenal 6 games. They give him an extension, and he comes back a full healthy squad. I personally think, mark the words, you heard it here today, Carolina Panthers this year are going to make the playoffs, and Carolina Panthers this year are going to go deep in the playoffs. Without further ado, it's the legend, the myth, Jack Attack.
Jack.
All right. So with Cam Newton coming back to Carolina, hopefully I'm really hoping that we're gonna be able to see him back at his MVP form, and according to himself, he's the healthiest that he could possibly be, and I'm just really hoping that the Panthers can finally pull something off and actually play well.
What do you think your predictions are, Jack, with them making the playoffs now?
I think we have a decent shot at a wild card. I'm not completely sold on the Buccaneers. I don't really know how that's gonna go because of how I've seen them lose to teams that they probably should have beaten. So, I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see.
Okay. Are you excited? Are you happy that Cam's back? Superman's back in Charlotte?
Oh yeah.
Let's go. Thank you, Jack. Yeah, I'm glad, Cam's back in the league. For a long time, we thought Seattle, Dallas, and I was actually hoping, he would go to Green Bay when Aaron Rodgers, got the COVID.
Got the
But instead, they signed Blake Bortles. Don't know why. And so
better fit for Green Bay. Blake Bortles is a better fit for Green Bay. For their offense, he sits in the pocket. He's Aaron Rodgers.
So let's go over this quickly. First of all, I want to say I don't hate Jordan Love. But, for somebody who was picked in the first round and the team traded up to get him, he sat, on the bench, third string, didn't wear pads for almost 2.5 years. He didn't play as well as everybody thought he did. And, I feel like if that kid's going to have a future in the NFL, he showed some promise. I feel like he shouldn't play in Green Bay. I feel like he should play somewhere else, like Atlanta. Maybe back up Matty Ice. I feel like Atlanta or some. I know Atlanta was. I don't know why, but Atlanta came to mind. I'm like, yeah, I think he'd be a good fit for Atlanta. But
I think Atlanta's going to be looking for a new quarterback this year anyway. I think they're just going to be looking for. I don't think Matty Ice is coming back. That's what I think.
New Orleans. Sean Payne can mold him.
I guess the thing is, and you would know better than this, like I'm sitting there thinking about Jordan Love, right? So Jordan Love was drafted underneath McCarthy, correct?
No. LaFleur.
So Matt LaFleur drafted him. Okay. First year, so it must have been first year LaFleur was there. So he's had the same head coach and the same OC pretty much since he's been there, yes?
Yes.
So he's never had to change the offense or anything. Okay. So I was
the
thinking
only
maybe,
person,
I was thinking maybe there was
the only
that's one of the
person
reasons.
I know, I think Jair and Aaron Jones, they were under McCarthy. But I know for sure Aaron Jones was under McCarthy, but no, Jordan Love's been Matt LaFleur.
Okay.
So the only person that's changed, I know in the Green Bay coaching is the defensive coordinator and the special teams coach. So, yeah, and I feel like, because I saw on Twitter, not on Twitter, but saw Packers. Everybody was saying on the Packers fan page, this is. I feel like almost everybody can agree that, unfortunately, this is one of Mahomes' worst year in the league. And they're like, everybody said it was unanimous. If Aaron played that game, they would have won.
Yeah. So the thing with Mahomes is I think what's happened with Patrick Mahomes is I think people, and I've said this a million times, you've heard me say this, Brunner, people will figure you out. These are smart men that play in the NFL, okay? And they're very talented men. And they're going to figure you out. And so you look at like this year with Patrick Mahomes, they're catching on to that like little deke and dunk, throwing sideways and all that stuff. And now those are becoming interceptions or just missed passes, et cetera, so forth. And that's why he's struggling. Same with Lamar. You notice the game, like the Miami Dolphins beat the Ravens by keeping 5 in the box. They made him throw the ball. And Lamar Jackson throws the ugliest passes. I mean, those things are like UFOs coming like it. They're ducks. And what happens with those passes that aren't a tight spiral? Well, I'll tell you as a former receiver, is someone reaches up and pokes them, and now it's a missed pass. Because that's the ones that get knocked down or batted away or intercepted. The tight spiral moves quickly, moves into the receiver, and that's why they work. And I think that's what's happened with Mahomes. I don't know. I'm not ready to throw the baby out with the bathwater yet with Jordan Love. That's my opinion. Is there something about him? Every once in a while, he has this flash that looks really, really good. It just looks like he'll throw a ball, and I'm like, oh, that's a cool-looking ball. You know what I'm saying? Or he'll move right. His footwork looks good. His drop back looks good. It's just, I think that he has to grow into the position. And everybody, their first year, has tough. It's just tough. And I think that he's held a clipboard long enough. He hasn't been hit, really, in 3 years. So he played that game. He looked like he was on the moon. But you got to realize that's like his first game in the NFL. How many people, let's talk about, who's the kid that this year that they drafted and have already benched in New York? Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson.
Okay. So Zach Wilson was already benched. But he is hurt.
I mean, he's not.
But
yeah, he's hurt enough.
But still, it's a situation of he got taken out of a game though when he was healthy. I just think Jordan Love. We have to see what Jordan Love is going to be. Is really what I think is the best way.
I
don't think it's in Green Bay though.
Mm-hmm. I just want to say somebody shout out to Anthony. Jalen Hurts, guy picked in the second round by the Eagles. I feel like he's a much more better quarterback than Jordan Love. Like, I just don't see, because Green Bay, that I've heard some source say like, oh, Green Bay tried to, draft Justin Jefferson. But I'm like, you didn't. The only thing you drafted up for was another quarterback. It's just that, what did Green Bay see that they're like, because they traded Miami's pick, which was Pittsburgh's pick when you got Minka.
Yeah.
So we told Miami, we made a deal and be like, hey, let's make a deal, and give us this pick.
What was he drafted? What number?
24.
Okay, so he was almost, for lack of a better word, second round, for first pick in the second round. Okay, he was and I had to think, if I remember the year that Jordan Love was drafted, that was the same year.
That was a quarterback heavy draft.
Yeah, it was a heavy draft. Pat Mahomes was drafted that year.
No,
wasn't he?
It wasn't. No, it was Justin Herbert, Chase Young, Tua Tagovailoa, Justin Jefferson, Devontae Smith, Jalen Reagor. That's what I remember off the top of my head. But yeah, I just remember. Yeah, I remember that. I remember because Justin Herbert, Chargers quarterback, my quarterback.
And the only reason Hurts, I think, dropped to the second round is that was also a very heavy quarterback. That was the first year 5 quarterbacks were drafted in the first round was the year that he was drafted. So I think that's the only reason. Any other draft year, he probably would have been a first-round draft pick.
Mm-hmm.
He just had so many QBs.
I just think, I'm still like, and then people get angry at Aaron. Anyway, I don't know where I'm going with this, but I'll cut it out. But like, I just feel Jordan Love, good kid, has potential, just not here. If I was Jordan Love, I would ask for a trade.
Well, I think if I was Jordan Love, I'd do out your contract and not take the extension. That's what I would do, and try to go somewhere else.
And then again, I think we talked about this a while back, or no, this was the last episode. Was remember with this whole Aaron Rodgers situation before the draft, like they were saying, like Green Bay was going to offer Aaron a 3-year extension.
Yes. So
Aaron has 2 years left on his contract. So if he takes that extension, that'd be 5 years. So Jordan Love, including the 5th-year option, like it doesn't make sense.
isn't it a club extension? Not a It's not. It's not a player extension. It's a club extension. So the club has to say. I think the club has to say we want to exercise the extension and give you the 2 extra years. We all know that Aaron Rodgers is walking away from Green Bay this year. He's done. Whenever they're done with their playoff run, Super Bowl or bust, whatever, they're done. He's done. His days are done in Green Bay. So I sit back and I kind of look at it and I'm like, in the scale of things, with this COVID thing that just happened and him saying I'm immunized, not vaccinated, right? Whatever, playing on his words. I'm kind of wondering what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers with his legacy now. Because I know a lot of people have turned on Aaron Rodgers.
Let me bring, since you brought it up. So Aaron Rodgers, the whole situation, because the media, Aaron admits that was a poor choice of words. So,
of course, he
doesn't
on
get Pat
caught.
McAfee show. So what he did. So this is what happened.
Into the questionable history of some of their criminal activities and fraud cases or any of that stuff. It was simply the fact that I have an allergy to an ingredient that's in the mRNA vaccines. So on the CDC's own website, it says, should you have an allergy to any of the ingredients, you should not get one of the mRNA vaccines. So those 2 were out already. So my only option was Johnson & Johnson. At this time, in the early spring, I had heard of multiple people who had adverse events around getting the J&J. Nothing that was no deaths or anything, but just some really difficult times and physical abnormalities around the J&J shot.
So he's like, you know what? I'm a little scared of that too. So he took something. He took a homeopathic, holistic. He took a treatment compared to. I'm gonna bring this up because literally the media slept on it, but they're crucifying Aaron Rodgers because he's Aaron Rodgers. Cole Beasley refuses to take any form of shot, any treatment of COVID.
Yeah.
And then media just sleeps on that. Kirk Cousins, same thing.
No, they don't.
Kirk Cousins, the same thing. He went on Kyle Brandt's podcast, the 10 questions, and he said, "If I die, I die."
Yeah.
And I'm like, why is that not over the news cycle? Like it was for like 2-3 days. But
so again, the difference with it is this. Here's the difference with it is, he came on there. He used the word "I am immunized." And everybody was under the belief that he was immunized. He was walking into the press conference room without wearing a mask, like he was vaccinated. So when you see Kirk Cousins or you see Cole Beasley, they're not walking up shaking hands after games and stuff. They're putting on a mask and walking away. They're sitting on the sideline in a mask because they're unvaccinated. So they're following a protocol the NFL has. That's why he's getting fined, because the NFL has a protocol for unvaccinated people. He tried to appeal that with them and say, hey, can I get an exception? They said no. And he's getting his medical advice from Joe Rogan.
Which called
enough said.
So I'm just gonna say this. So they according to Rap Sheet, the Packers knew that Aaron Rodgers' status was not vaccinated.
Here's what I know. The team has known that Rodgers is not vaccinated. According to the letter of the NFL law, they have known this for a very long time. Rodgers has been wearing a mask in the building. He has been following the COVID-19 protocols for those who are unvaccinated. He has been undergoing daily testing. Sometimes at press conferences, he has been seen wearing a mask around his neck, but not on his face. On the sidelines, he has not been wearing a mask, but I don't think you need to, if you're an unvaccinated player, wear one outside.
But I don't know what this one is that he's got fined. Again, this NFL's broken because who was CeeDee Lamb got fined more for an untucked jersey?
Yes. Now that's just plain stupidity. That is, the NFL has always been stupid about uniforms. But Aaron Rodgers got fined $15,000 for not following COVID-19 protocols for an unvaccinated person. The Green Bay Packers.
I think it was the party. I think it was the party. He attended a Halloween party, and that's why they fined him.
and then the Green Bay Packers were fined $250,000 for not following COVID protocol. So Aaron Rodgers is not supposed to walk across the field and be around other players. Okay, just because you're vaccinated doesn't mean you still can't get COVID-19. It just means you won't end up in the hospital probably with COVID-19. Okay? So, long story short, that CeeDee Lamb, untucked shirt, they've always been that way. I forget who it was. There was somebody that wore the wrong shoelaces one time, and he got fined $20,000. And it's like stupid. You can't even wear personalized cleats in the NFL.
Yeah. I think it was
unless they say it's a
OBJ.
special weekend. It might have been OBJ.
I think it was OBJ or Landry. They're like, they came in, with the specialized cleats, and then they're like, if you walk onto the field with these cleats on, like you can wear them on the sideline. But I think they said, like, if you walk on the field, you'll be disqualified or something.
Brandon Marshall got fined $10,500 when he was in the league in 2013 for wearing green cleats. Then he was fined $15,000 about a month and a half later for wearing orange cleats. So it just, they have to wear that stupid baseball. You can be personal. You can wear what you want. You can put, strikeout, ALS, whatever. You can write on your cleats. You can personalize them, etc., so forth. You can wear whatever color you want. You don't have to wear white cleats, or they don't have to match your uniform. In fact, I'm seeing this really cool fad lately in baseball where people are wearing Air Jordan cleats. They look like Jordan 4s. So it's kind of cool. And they're wearing a bunch of New Balance of different colors and stuff. But it blows my mind because in college and in high school, like Jack's cleats are like, my son's cleats are like amazingly colorful. And they're not, you can get them very personalized, and I don't understand why the NFL. I mean, I could see saying, "Hey, everybody has to wear a jersey that meets restrictions. Everybody wears same shoulder pads, no neck." It blows my mind. Did you wear a fucking necklace in the NFL that somebody could reach out and grab, like we saw when that snatching happened with Aqib Talib? But you can't wear green cleats.
Yeah, it's just the no fun league, and I don't know if you saw the Pittsburgh Bears game when Cassius Marsh went over to the Steelers sideline, did a little flex because they cut him that year, and he sacked Big Ben, and then penalty markers come out and excessive celebration, unsportsmanlike conduct or whatever.
So and this is what this is what I've said from the beginning with that. He did not get a flag because the referee sticking a butt out or whatever. Okay, the referee, I do have to say, looked like he was tensing up, like he was going to get hit, and he kind of like moved awkwardly. He got the flag. If you remember, if you go back and watch that play, he didn't get it for the little crescent kick that he did at the end, because T.J. Watt does that all the time. He ended up taking about 15, 20 steps towards the Steelers bench. He stepped over the outside hash mark, flexed, and his own team was kind of like pulling him back, and they walked away. That's when it became a taunting call, like he was calling them out. Do I think it was a good call? No and yes. Technically, it was the right call because he stepped outside the hash marks. But on the same note, it's kind of a candy call. You know what I'm saying? Is that a sack is just like getting a touchdown if you're a defensive player. That's your thing, man. And it was a pretty big play that he did. I don't know if it changed the outcome of the game. I think it would have went down to the wire, and I think Pittsburgh still would have won that. But it also was almost a shift in the game too, as Pittsburgh the last quarter of that game was playing a little bit nasty, sloppy. They were just playing sloppy. So, but I agree with you. Like, who was it on the Chiefs? Oh no, it was DK Metcalf 2 weeks ago. Jumped up and he jumped on the goalpost, like he was like riding the goalpost, and he got boom, excessive celebration, got a fine, and then Pete Carroll came over and said, because they were told you can't dunk over the goalpost anymore.
Yeah,
once you jump on so once you jump on it, you're bringing a prop in, quote unquote, and so Pete Carroll's like, I didn't explain that to you, it's on me, But still, what's that hurt? Okay, the guy just ripped off a touchdown, whatever. And it's kind of funny is like, so you can go, if you think back earlier in that Pittsburgh Bears game, was an interception. I think it was an interception, or it was TJ Watt's, one of TJ Watt's sacks, and the whole dang 11 defensive players ran to the end zone, and they were like doing something like, woo, freaking out in the end zone, right? That's okay because they weren't doing it towards the bench of the opposing team. And I think that's where the line is. At least that's what I heard on Pittsburgh radio, and I also heard Gene what's his name? Sanator.
Yes.
Sanator said explained it that way too. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting the last 7 weeks. I think what we're going to see, I think there's going to be a lot of shaking up. It's funny. Do you have our prediction sitting right there?
I don't.
So I know my predictions with the NFC was going to be the Packers and the AFC was going to be the Bills. And I was like, the Bills just looked like bums last week. I couldn't believe that. That game blew me apart. Like, what the hey happened there? And then you look at like the Ravens just got demolished just Thursday night by the Dolphins, which kind of blew my mind. So somehow Pittsburgh all of a sudden is in second place, one game out of first place in the AFC North when they started off horrendous. But they're probably going to lose this week because Big Ben's out. I don't think Mason Rudolph's the man. I think the Buccaneers are going to go deep in the playoffs again. And I think the AFC is going to be wide open because it's not going to be the Chiefs there. I don't know.
I also thought, I'm glad we lost this episode because I thought Cardinals were going to be bad, but they've been balling out.
They've been balling out. One loss, I think, for the Cardinals.
Yeah, one loss to the Packers.
Yeah, it was the Packers
not getting
game.
credit for that.
Yeah,
but
the Chargers look well.
McCoy. The Chargers look well. Did you see, I forgot to mention, I think there's a pic of the Raiders owner. Was it Mark Davis?
Mark Davis, Al Davis' son. Yep.
I think he went to the
dude, if you're a billionaire, why do you got a
girl
haircut like that? What's up? You're a billionaire. What's up with that haircut?
Yeah, but I think he went to the funeral for that girl Henry Ruggs killed. And shout out to Derek Carr, man. Poor dude loses his head coach after that whole situation. Now Gruden suing the NFL, loses his top receiver, and he's very emotional. He's like, I wish he would have called me at 3 a.m. to tell me, like, hey, I need a ride.
Dude, that's what I'm saying.
I would have been there.
That's what I'm saying.
Then,
I've always said is that, if my kids drink too much or whatever, I'm not going to yell at you that night. I'm not going to be pissed at you. I'd rather you come home safe as opposed to not at all. It just kind of, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? And it's tough, man. It's tough. And I wonder how it's just kind of, I wonder how things are going to end up.
I think if Devontae, because we're talking about her car for him, I hate when people be like, as a blank fan, but as a Charger fan, I feel bad for Derek Carr. Dude's been through a lot. But hopefully he can get Devontae next year because I'm pretty sure Devontae's not going to be in Green Bay.
I'm kind of sitting there thinking about like that, like moves, off-season free agent moves. I personally think Devontae Adams is going to get franchised, is what I think is going to happen. But then I kind of think about, would I want Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh? And that's where I have to kind of sometimes I have to overlook shit for my team. There's guys that have played for Pittsburgh that I haven't liked what they've done off, you know what I'm saying, off the field. Big Ben's one of them. Okay? I love Big Ben on the field up until about 2 years ago. Big Ben should have retired 2 years ago, in my opinion. But off the field, I can't really get behind Big Ben.
Did you cry when Pouncey retired?
I didn't cry. Come on now.
I
But
cried
you
when
know,
my Pouncey retired.
you know what's funny though is it's funny you say that because as a Pittsburgh fan for 50 years next week, I've seen a lot of great players leave. A lot of great players. And I think that I was only emotionally attached to really one player, and that's when I was a kid, Lynn Swan. When Lynn Swan was done playing, I was kind of like, oh, man. Troy Polamalu, when he retired, that was like, oh, man. That was kind of that one hit a little different because he still had stuff in the tank. He still was he left actually right at his prime. I think wasn't really his maybe prime, but he still was one of the top safeties, if not the top safety in the league when he left. And there's been so many of them, but I think that when Big Ben leaves, another one that really kind of affected me, believe it or not, was Heath Miller.
And you cry?
I didn't cry, no. I've never cried when anybody's left a team. But the thing with Heath Miller was he was such a fan favorite. Like, I mean, they had a cheer for him and everything when, and he was. And then I think what makes it hard is when somebody like a greatness leaves, like a Heath Miller leaves, or a Lynn Swan leaves, or when Big Ben leaves. It all depends on who comes in behind them. It's not always going to be a Mac Jones coming in behind a Tom Brady who looks really super solid. You know what I'm saying? It's usually a Jesse James coming in after a Heath Miller. Doesn't look the same. You know what I'm saying? Hines Ward didn't really affect me when he left. I loved Hines Ward as a player, and as a person off the field. But he was just he was an amazing player, tough as nails, dude. But do you know who replaced Hines Ward? Antonio Brown. Okay, I can make that transition. So it all depends. D'Angelo Williams, another guy, but he was really more of a Panther, but he was there for a minute. So
yeah, Aaron said, Pat McAfee show, like, if we would, because he had a little exchange with Mike Tomlin. He's like, yeah, I love Pittsburgh people. He's like, Mike McCarthy, I heard a Pittsburgh voice in my ear, and like, the guys around him were also from Pittsburgh. He's like, I like the atmosphere. So maybe also another realistic thing I could see Aaron going is San Francisco, because they're probably going to ditch Jimmy G. Maybe make Trey Lance sit behind.
I really honestly can't see him going there because they've lied to him. Like Aaron Rodgers, the one thing about Aaron Rodgers is he basically went on a tear because he had to sit in that room for 5 hours. And San Francisco was supposed to take him. And I think that it's kind of that whole like story is I'm going to make them pay. I'm going to make them pay. Honestly, I could see him going to, it wouldn't happen because they got Russell, but like a Seattle or somebody that plays San Francisco twice a year just to beat up on them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I could see that happening, but the Rams have Stafford. He's going off right now. The Seahawks have Russell.
Cardinals have Kyler.
Oh yeah, they're not getting rid of Kyler Murray.
But I say that because Aaron from the area grew up 49er fan, big Steve Young fan. He became close with Steve Young when he got older. He asked him, he's like, when Aaron got his first concussion, like, it's like, how did you handle them back then? But I just think like maybe because he's not in his prime anymore, his twilight years, go back home.
Maybe I don't know, maybe. But I don't think he really considers that home anymore. Like, I don't think he lives in the San Francisco area anymore. I don't think he's a Northern Cal guy, like in the off season. But I mean, home is always home. It'd be interesting. It's funny you say that though. I keep thinking you brought that twice up now about the Pat McAfee. Did you watch the podcast or did you listen to it?
I watch him.
Okay,
on YouTube.
Dude, he held everything he possibly could in. Not to laugh at that dude.
You got a question?
Yeah, the doctors that you consulted with. Dr. Joe Rogan and which other doctors?
Look.
Did you notice that?
Yeah, I see that. Who's like, when you talk to a doctor, is that Dr. Joe Rogan?
And he was just like, and I'm like, dude, Pat, don't fuck up a good thing. But like, I can just like totally like, I love Pat McAfee, man. He's awesome. And he's just another, he's a Yinzer too, right?
Yeah.
But he's from the
Have you
he's
seen
from the
his Steeler jersey? Tomlin gave him a Steeler jersey with McAfee on it.
Yeah, he grew up a Steelers fan. I mean, I think I'm trying to remember where the hell he's from. He is, where he grew up. Oh, Plum. He's from Plum, Pennsylvania. Okay. Yeah. So, but he's a Western PA guy. It's kind of funny. And you can hear it in the voice. Like, all I have to do is hear him talk, and I'm like, yeah, he's a Yinzer. He's going dancing. Going to get some Iron City. So, if it's, yeah, that's pretty cool. So I think that it's going to be interesting. I think what we should do is we'll probably do a check-in about 3 weeks from now. Maybe 3-4 weeks. About halfway through the last of the end, and we'll see kind of where things are. I think that we'll see where things really are. The one that's kind of interesting to me, I was surprised the Pats are doing as good as they are. That's the team that I thought they were just going to be like garbage, straight garbage. And they're holding their own. But then again, that's pretty easy to do when you got the freaking Jets in your conference. So.
Yeah, I think maybe we should wrap this up. But before we go, just want to say the replacement to Cam Newton at the end turned out to be Cam Newton himself.
That's
Try
right.
to get Teddy Bridgewater, didn't work out. XFL kid had some promise. Sam Darnold, first 3 weeks, amazing. Last 3 weeks, not so amazing.
I think Sam Darnold's going to be a really good backup in the league, though. Like a consistent, like a 20-year career backup guy, like a Ryan Fitzpatrick.
You think or like a Josh McCown?
Yeah, exactly. Like a guy that he was a starter at one point, because remember McCown was at Cleveland, and then he just basically becoming the bounce around. Or like another one that I always kind of use is the guy in New England. He's there right now. Bald-headed dude. He's got
I know what you're talking about. He's I'll put it on the screen, but I forget his name. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
He literally was he I think he's got 5 rings. But he I'm gonna find out right now because it's gonna bug me if I don't say it.
It's not. Is it Brian?
Brian Hoyer.
I think Brian Hoyer.
Brian Hoyer, dude. He played that 1 year in Cleveland, looked like a bum, and then he's been backup city, goes in for garbage time, etc., so forth. And like I said, 5 rings. So I think that's what Darnold will end up. I think Darnold's still talented. Do not get me wrong. And a lot of things with that whole Darnold thing is the offensive line this year for Carolina has been cheesed. It's been cheesed. They just lost Matt Prater's on last game out for and they've lost guards. They've lost. I think they showed a stat. I think it's been like 32 people have played on the line this year. That's a lot of people. Then he lost McCaffrey. So if you have a crappy line, as you know because you're formerly a Packers fan, what do you do with a crappy line? Is you throw out to your running back a lot. If McCaffrey, who arguably is the best all-purpose running back in the league, isn't there, and you're throwing to Joe Schmo from Idaho, that don't work so well.
I'm going to end it on this fact because I just found this out not too long ago. I think it was week 1 or week 2 of the NFL. The Colts center, when they drafted him, they told him, they're like, you're going to be the next Jeff Saturday, and Andrew Luck's going to be the next Peyton Manning. Since that dude's been in the league, he's had different quarterbacks. So he started with Andrew, then Jacoby, then Phillip Rivers, and now Carson Wentz.
In all fairness, okay, that is one of the sickest offensive lines when they're all healthy in football. Ryan Kelly, Quentin Nelson. Oh my God, that's Ryan Kelly's the guy you're talking about. And that's a sick line when they're healthy. But you're right, he has gone through the garbage with every Brissett. Did you mention Jacoby?
Yeah, I think Jacoby.
It's like, and so, but I will end on that. Night, everybody. Thank you for listening.
Thank you guys for listening. See you guys in the next one.